Hey guys, I've been wanting to do this for a while now. Something new, which is my book review and recommendation, which I hope there's a positive or added value for you in your life. So this is the book that I've recently read. It is to me the number one favorite book for me of all time. So this is it. This is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So the reason why I think I found this to be such a great book was because number one, this book wasn't even titled. It was never meant to be published. It was written by Marcus Aurelius, of whom I only came into contact in history books in high school decades ago. And I only known him as one of the 5 great Roman emperors, but I didn't know how cool and how great this person was. And he never meant this to be published. So this book was never meant to be published. It was a very, very personal journal for himself, written by himself, for himself, as a reflection of how to live a good life. So if you like things like books like Tuesdays with Maury, searching for like how to live a good life, a righteous life and all that, this is a very humble book that I think everyone should read once in their lifetime. I am certainly going to read this book more than once, definitely a few more times throughout my life, I think. So he never meant this to be published. So what is good, number one, about this book is that it's such a pure form of literature, of book, of thoughts that is unparalleled. Because he has no ulterior motive, right? He has no agenda. He's not trying to sell a book. He's not trying to get royalty. He never. I wonder how he would think that if he found out, if he was alive now, that actually millions of people are reading his book without his consent, unfortunately. So he doesn't have a hidden agenda. He wasn't trying to build a religion. He wasn't trying to build a cult following. He didn't disseminate these books to his followers or his senate in Rome, in the empire at that time. He wasn't trying to build followers and all that. So it's a very pure form of thought, of compilation of thoughts and self-reminder of how to live a good life. That itself is already amazing. That the fact that it survived 2,000 years and we get to delve into the minds of a Roman emperor then, and not only of a Roman emperor, more importantly of a humble, good human being. And he, as an emperor, was actually so spoiled, right? He was exposed, he had easy access to the riches. He was the most powerful man on earth at that point of time, probably. He had all the access to all the riches, all the power he had. He could command anyone to die any moment. He had all the beautiful women, he had all the sex, all the money, the gold, whatever he wanted in life, he would have had. But this book is the antithesis to that. He was telling himself, despite all this, I am a human being that will die. I am born from nature and I will go back to Saul. And he constantly reminds himself of his imminent death throughout the book and how to live a righteous and humble life. So that's the beauty of this book in summary. So I'm going to put out a few quotes here and there throughout the video just to see that what I found to be very beautiful and simple yet thought-provoking stuff that he mentioned about. So the themes, I urge you to read yourself on it because I can't fully encompass whatever he writes because the beauty is in how he writes it. So do read it on your own. But what I got out of it was, in short, the beauty about humility and the fact that he also tells himself, which we can relate to, that we shouldn't judge others, because he also reminds himself, have you not done mistakes yourself? So why are you judging others if you are not immune from mistakes yourself? So that humility is one that struck a chord within me. And secondly, the other thing was the constant recurring themes of death, that he says that your grandfather, your adopted father, you too will one day, like them, return to the soil. So that was the death that he told himself, how should you live your life then? And imagine you are already dead. Live your life thinking every day is a bonus and how you live it. So that was good. And the second beautiful takeaway I had. And but the third one was he talks about things like I suspect, I'm not sure whether he ever came into contact with the Indian civilization and Buddhism. I'm not a historical expert, but while he doesn't quote it, I certainly find it relatable to certain things I learned in Buddhism, like non-self, like there is no fixed identity or self of us. Look at us as part of nature. See, he certainly puts it in that way. Marcus Aurelius himself says that we are just recycled sort of through nature, and we're just part of nature. So whatever we do should be not good to us, but to the world, to nature. Do good to that. And the fourth thing, which is the sincerity in doing good deeds. And I particularly like this. He says that do good deeds and say good things and whatnot, even if there were no one watching. So this already tells how great and how moral this person's thoughts is, and he's trying to remind himself to do that all the time. Although as a human being, will be prone to error at times, but he reminds himself in this book multiple times and such things. And these are the themes that I find to be really relatable, and the humility of a great leader and a human being, most importantly, that I find a bit lacking in a lot of world leaders. You would imagine after 2,000 years we would have progressed as a species to be a more moral, upright, leaders would be more selfless instead of being self-serving like the ones we have in these modern centuries. It's very thought-provoking and profound, this diary of Marcus Aurelius. And it wasn't even titled Meditations. There was no title to it. It was just given subsequent to it. And I think his life story definitely looking back probably played a part in his humility. He did have 14 children, but only I think 5 outlived him. So he lost a lot of them, his children, at a very young age, even at birth, multiple of them. So this remains my top number one book, and in terms of probably non-fiction, and the last aspect is the aesthetic quality to it, which you can only enjoy by reading it yourself. When he talks about, you can almost imagine not only being in his mind through all these moral themes and all that, but also sort of sitting beside him. This would be his equivalent of an Insta story in his day, which he would never share with other people as well, because this was private, where he would talk about nature like water. And this is part of Stoicism as well, right? I think these metaphors that, be a flow, just go with the flow. Things that are beyond your control, don't worry about it. Only worry about what you can do, but not what the circumstances throw at you. Don't be angry at those circumstances. Very stoic, philosophic king that he is. And also he talks about beautiful things like nature, like how he appreciates the band of a stalk of rice, and like and imagine him loving nature and forest, but he tells himself, even if you can't go to places like the sea and the beach, all that, but the true harmony and peace lies within you, not externally. So this beautiful book, highly recommend. Short book, I finished in 2 to 3 days, I think, and it's not written in the usual chronological manner, I think, but at the end of it ends beautifully when he was contemplating a lot about death, and then I suspect maybe that's when he was approaching death for real. So highly recommend. Read it once in your lifetime at least, I think, if I can recommend. But if this resonates with you, and I'm going to reread it definitely in the future, because I think from what a lot of people do feel that they get different things out of it each time they read it. So that is, when I know I read a really great book. When I was about to end, I was like, oh man, it's ended. The end of it are just references. I wish there was more, but it's good enough that you can read whatever he wrote 2,000 years ago. So read that. If you find this value added, I really appreciate. And leave a comment. I'm open for discussion. PM me and tell me what you found about the book. I'm really curious to see. I think everyone might get different things out of the book, I really appreciate those discussions because it helps me learn as well. And if you found any value added, do subscribe and like, or not if you don't find this to be good value or anything. So anyway, hope you enjoy the book. Thanks.